Yes, indeed. Live, back in action, toe tapping and finger snapping our way to the playoffs, baby. Here we go. NFL playoffs coming up, fantasy playoffs going on right now. I know me and you are in the thick of things for this one too, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Me and you both got big games this week. I had one guy going last night, Lad McConkey. He did okay for me, just okay. 11,
Not bad,
12
not bad.
points. Not bad. I could have used a little bit more because my opponent is tough. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, here we are, Power 32 podcast, ready to go on a special Friday edition after the Thursday night game between the Broncos and Chargers. The Chargers came back. Can't believe it. We'll talk about
Can't believe
that.
it.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about, man. Hey, I'm
we both would have picked the Broncos, right?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I would have picked the Chargers by a field goal. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
just by a field goal because I knew
got no running back. Lad wasn't supposed to play. I mean, I saw no hopes.
Justin Herbert's a beast. I mean, I like Bo Nix. Don't get me wrong, but he's not Justin Herbert.
Right, he's a rookie.
Yeah, he's a rookie. Maybe he'll get there one day. But Herbert's a monster. Jim Harbaugh's an amazing coach. They started playing really good defense in the second half. I mean, the halftime adjustments were on point.
Still gave up a ton of points, but I mean,
they did. I mean, again, most of it came in the first half, like 21 points, I think, in the first half for Denver, and they ended up with 27. So only 2 field goals in the second half. So I think the Chargers defense did what they had to do. Derwin James had a nice game, and that's what you expect from a Harbaugh-led team. So now both teams look like they are, and that's what I want to get into, like right off the bat, is the playoffs. Chargers are in, 97% chance. Same thing with the Broncos. And then you look at right now in the division, we have Pittsburgh leading, but Pittsburgh and Baltimore play this weekend. And if Baltimore wins, I think they jump them a couple of more games in the season. We're going to talk about all these games, obviously, Kenny, but the AFC is pretty set right now. So sticking with them, we got the Chiefs winning their division, Houston, just mentioned Pittsburgh and Baltimore, and then you got the Bills. And then your wild card teams right now are either Pittsburgh or Baltimore. And then you're looking at the AFC West where you got the Chargers and the Broncos. So when you look at all those teams and all the scenarios that could play out, knowing that the Chiefs are probably going to have the first round bye, do you think that the Chiefs have another cakewalk to the Super Bowl, or do you see some contenders out there?
Well, I mean, how conspiracy theory do we want to get? I like the Chiefs are the Patriots now. Like they're the heel. They're the team that gets away with everything. When something happens in their team, you barely hear about it. Even if it's something bad, you're not going to hear it on the news because they're going to silence that stuff. Or perfect in KC. They're trying to build a new stadium. They're trying to build their fan base. You can't screw that up right now. So, I mean, I don't see them losing to anybody.
Maybe not. And they've only lost one game this year, and that was to Buffalo. So if they do play, it'll be in Kansas City this time in the playoffs because I don't see them losing that number 1 seed right there. But Denver, I would probably eliminate as a Super Bowl contender. The Chargers, they're interesting. They just don't have enough offensive firepower, so probably not. And Houston plays Kansas City this weekend, so I'm looking forward to that game. I want to talk about that with you. But who else out there? I mean, Buffalo, Baltimore. I don't think Pittsburgh has a chance.
I mean, you named that's it. That's about it in the AFC. And the AFC is supposed to be so good, right?
That's the thing. They seem more top heavy, and the NFC seems deeper. Where you have, I mean, let's look at it right now. We're talking about the playoffs. So going through it, Philadelphia right now 12-2. They're winning their division. Detroit is 12-2. Minnesota's 12-2. They're all in. Green Bay Packers, for the hell of it, they're 10-4. They're in as well. So those are 2 wild card teams out of that division. You got Tampa at 8-6. Falcons at 7-7 now with Michael Penix Jr., which we're going to talk about. So they do have a chance, depending on while he plays. He can't play much worse than Kirk Cousins did, for God's sake. And then there's the Rams and Seahawks.
Wow, Penix, you're just going to throw him in there now, 7-7, trying to make it to the playoffs. You're just going to throw in Michael Penix?
Well, so obviously you don't really like that idea. I mean, as bad as Cousins has been playing, I don't really. I mean, look, you heard me say it. I think it was last week. It may be time to bench him, Cousins, even before that game, but I don't really know what they have to lose at this point. Cousins is playing really bad, and maybe his injury isn't fully healed. He doesn't look right out there.
He's been running the offense all year, though. Is Michael Penix in there throwing to the ones? Like, I don't know. Like it's not the Niners, so I don't know. Like, does Michael Penix work with the ones? Does he throw to Drake London and Darnell Mooney all day in practice, or is there going to be like you gotta build a rapport? You have to have a little like chemistry with your receivers and stuff like that. So I just want to know: is he throwing to them in practice all day?
Well, we know he is this week. I don't know how much he had been in, weeks past. Probably not a whole lot. I would assume so. But let's see if they can develop some chemistry between him and Pitts and, him and Drake London. But one thing you do know, Kenny, is that they're going to run the ball.
I was just going to say, is he going to get a chance to build a rapport with him? I know that they don't want to lose. They don't want to throw 3 interceptions on Sunday.
And they don't want to throw 30 times either.
No, they want to run it with Bijan, who will get 30 carries, and Tyler Algier will probably get 15 carries. And I'm not saying they're not going to throw on third down because they're probably going to have to sometimes, but sure. I can't count on Mooney or Drake London this week without Cousins. But anything can happen. We've seen this when a new quarterback comes in and the D isn't ready for him. They don't know his style or this and that, and it winds up being a problem sometimes.
I think that also what goes into it is the opponent they're playing this week. That's the New York Giants, who are 2-12 this year. So
they are, but their defensive line and backs are not terrible.
No. They're not terrible. They're not, but they're a 2-win team. So when you look at it, what really better situation to throw them into against, again, it's on the road. I know they're playing against the Giants, but this is a team that you would want him to start against and try to build some confidence, going into the rest of the season, if indeed they're going to win. Now, they do have the tiebreaker against Tampa Bay because they beat them twice. So if they end up with the same record, Atlanta's in. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know, because Tampa Bay's got Dallas this week. And I think both are going to like Tampa Bay in this one.
I think everyone likes Tampa Bay this week. Yeah.
And, that's it. Dude, listen, I got Baker Mayfield as my fantasy quarterback this week.
Nice.
But I picked up Anthony Richardson in case I got the itch against Tennessee. I know it sounds weird, but it's against the Titans, who have just fallen off completely. I know he can get rushing yards. I know he may be able to get a rushing touchdown. So I'm really relying on Baker Mayfield to have another great performance. And you know what? Why should I think not? He's been doing it all year.
I liked him all year. As soon as I came on the scene here, maybe over a year ago when I first started doing lives, I actually talked about Baker. I know how silly that sounds being a Niner fan, but I talked about how he's a good quarterback. Don't rule him out. Don't just push him to the side. He's a quality quarterback. He knows what he's doing. He has a great team. I have Evans. I have Bucky. And you know who I signed the other day? Jalen McMillan.
Right. Okay.
And it's not because I can't even start him. I got Neighbors. I got Flowers. I got a lot of people I could start in front of him. What I don't want is someone else picking Jalen up this week, putting him against me, and him getting 30 points when I have Bucky and Evans.
Yeah.
And they may get 15 and 15 this week. Yeah. So that's why I really took Jake McMillan off the board. He has really stepped up. And Sterling Shepard was also doing well there from the Giants. I think he's from the Giants. He's a little older, so he's not really a focus like the younger guys are. But they got a dangerous passing.
They do, and it's because their run game. It's because their run game works.
3 running backs.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're able to do play action, and it works. They're able to fool defenses. They got it going on over there. It's really interesting what Tampa's able to do, and Baker Mayfield.
And the play calling has been beautiful. The play calling. I don't know if you've noticed. I have mentioned it a couple times. Their runs are really nice.
Yeah, they're mixing in the run, mixing in the pass. They're doing it all really well. Baker is accurate. He's playing with confidence. Mike Evans is back. That's huge for that team. So, yeah, I'm thinking of rolling with Baker. But let me tell you the rest of my team real quick, and let me know if you would make a change. Like I said, Ladd McConkey already went. So Baker Mayfield's my quarterback. I got Amon-Ra St. Brown and A.J. Brown as my 2 top wide receivers.
It's as good as it gets.
That's pretty damn good. I don't like that Detroit's playing at Chicago in the outside elements. It scares me a little.
DBs too.
Scares me a little bit. Scares me. I'm not going to lie. But St. Brown is still a stud. James
and AJ, AJ, you've had him all year, so I don't have to tell you. He's a little boomer bust sometimes.
Yes, because he is.
The running they're going to be running that ball a lot over there. Hurts has 14 rushing touchdowns, and then Saquon has however how many he has right now.
Right.
And it's a lot of scores that aren't going to wide receivers. Someone who had Devonta Smith is feeling what you feel times 10. So.
Yeah. No doubt. Well, AJ did have a good week last week against Pittsburgh, so hopefully he'll continue it because they needed to get that passing game going. And Jalen Hurts is all sarcastic in his interviews. Like, is that what you all wanted to see? Throwing for 290 yards and 3 touchdowns or whatever it was. So, yeah, pretty good day at the office for them. So at running back, James Cook. My other one isn't great, but I like the matchup this week. It's DeAndre Swift against Detroit's defense, which is pretty chopped up.
I gotta be honest with you, I don't know crap about DeAndre Swift. I'll just admit that right now. Never liked him, didn't follow him, didn't have him all year, didn't face him all year, so I never learned a damn thing about him.
He's not an RB1. He's not an RB1. I'll say that right off the bat. Definitely not.
Didn't he come on like halfway through the scene? He wasn't there all year, was he? Or was he there all year as the running back number one?
Who? DeAndre Swift. He has been their number one running back all year.
Steve-O's not wrong. I think I picked Zay. I picked Neighbors, then I picked Zay, and then I picked Devonta, and then I picked Tank in the draft. It was not pretty because I went RB, I went CMC, Achane, Kyron.
You see, well, mentioning Flowers, that's interesting. I have him on this team, but I already played McConkey, like I said, and my other two wide receivers, A.J. Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I got T. Higgins in over Zay Flowers right now. T. Higgins going against Cleveland and Flowers against Pittsburgh. So,
yeah, you're right.
You think so?
I didn't start Flowers. In fact, I've started Flowers like 7 times, but I've had him all year. And I got lucky.
Okay.
Yeah, the times I started him, I got lucky. Because there are other times, I don't know if you know Zay's numbers. I mean, I think you say you have him. So, but yeah, he is the guy that like 30 points, 9 points, 11 points, 15 points, 13 points, 9 points, 10 points, 30 points.
And they haven't fared well against Pittsburgh in the past, Baltimore, especially offensively.
What I hear is this is a King Henry game.
And as well it should be. You know, that's why you got the guy. So at this time of the year, he can mow him down and, you know, go ahead and win you the division. So they're one step closer to that. We'll see. And Minnesota's defense against Seattle. And on my bench is Rachaad White, Hawkinson, and Zay Flowers. But I'm going to go with my lineup, man. We'll see what happens.
Zamir White, you liked him I know that you liked him this year as well, and you weren't wrong. The guy has a lot of touchdowns, and he's still splitting carries for the most part. And if Bucky's sort of hobbled right now, which we all know he is, I mean, he's played, but he's having issues. They're going to probably split the carries this week too. So Zamir White is definitely a good.
Rachaad
White. I'm sorry, Zamir White is the Vegas, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Rachaad White, and so he has been coming back into the fold since Bucky's been a little hobbled. So they both could get about 15 points this week if you're lucky.
I've been thinking about starting him over Swift. I don't know. I mean,
a lot of mouths over there, as you know. Jalen McMillan, Shepard, Evans. You know, Evans, they're going to get at least 85 yards too and a touchdown because of his record. He needs 250 yards to get to his 10th or 11,000 yard season.
Amazing. Hall of Famer, first ballot. No question about it, man. That guy is unbelievable. One of the most underrated wide receivers.
I praised him the other day. So
he is extremely underrated. I mean, he does get his credit, you know, to people who know what the hell they're talking about. But when you mention the top wide receivers in the league, his name doesn't come up. And
you'll never hear his name. He's one of the best people in man-to-man coverage that you can get in the NFL.
Yeah. He is man-to-man coverage. It's not a 50-50 ball with him. It's more like 80-20, 90-10. Yeah, he's legit. He's totally legit, no doubt. So I was curious, you know, again, I've been preaching all year, Kirk Cousins is not the savior. You heard me say it 5 billion times on the show and 5 billion times off the show. What are your thoughts on the situation totally? Like, do you really think that Kirk Cousins is going to be able to win them the division? Or do you think it makes sense to take a shot with Michael Penix and just say, you know what? It doesn't look good with Kirk. We're not going to be able to win our next 3 games, and we have to rely on Tampa Bay losing 2 out of 3 or something like that. Whatever the numbers.
No, and they're playing like Carolina and the Giants in the last 2 games or some shit like that. They're not going to.
Yeah, it's kind of an easy schedule, you know. So
pretty much.
I'm okay with the move, man. I'm okay. It may provide a spark. I mean, that offense has been dead. Kirk Cousins threw his first touchdown in over a month, and that was against Vegas, and they only won that game 15-9. How are you going to only score 15 points against Vegas? That's terrible.
No, that was really the one that did it, I think, that the coach was saying. Like that was the one that really, you can't have a guy that good that's done what he's done in the NFL who can go out there, and you've seen him throw 34 for 37 with 3 touchdowns in Minnesota. Like, he can't do that shit here with weapons like Drake and Bijan and Pitts, and you just can't do that. But here's the thing, right? And this is a brand new year. This is a brand new team for him. He's been on Minnesota forever. So there is an adjustment, but it shouldn't happen at the end of this season.
But why in the beginning of the season was he 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions? Like, why the regression? And if you watch it, it's not like he's making small mistakes or the ball is getting tipped off of receivers' fingers. I mean, he is throwing horrible interceptions to defenders who are wide open. I mean, it is really hard to watch this guy play. And now you wonder what's going to happen with him next year. What's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers next year? Are these guys going to have jobs? Because I can't see them going in and being backups.
No, they won't be backups. They'll be starters somewhere, I bet.
Aaron Rodgers it seems likely that Aaron Rodgers may end up back with the Jets. I mean, he's not even doing a bad job. I mean, his numbers are pretty freaking good. They're 4-10. So, I mean,
my feeling on Rodgers is he could be a lot better this year if he wanted to. That's how I feel.
Maybe he's taking too much ayahuasca.
I feel like that dude needs to be properly motivated. I've seen it before. I don't think he's very happy.
Yeah.
I don't think the general manager, I don't know if you saw this. I don't even know if it's a real report. I heard he's got some 17-year-old that he's got as counsel telling him to not trade for Jerry Jeudy because his Madden rating isn't good enough.
That's 100% real.
This is where we are.
As sad as that is real. That is terrible.
You got billionaires buying assets, a team, right? They don't know shit about football. They're going to hire the best people. I'm sorry, keep fucking flashing that thing. They're hiring the best people, as some people say, right? That don't mean shit. Like, you have to know football from the GM spot to the friggin' scouts to the towel boy, man. That's why the Chiefs are the Chiefs.
There you go. That's a well-run organization. That's why Pittsburgh is never under 500. You know, it's just certain organizations that are. And you know what? You thought the Giants were that for a while, but as weird as it is, after Eli Manning left, everything went to hell. I mean, that's crazy because I don't even like Eli Manning much.
I mean, honestly, the Giants, you know, you lived through it like me, so you know they've had their success. But they're a team that, like, I feel like are just a little bit above the Jets in the sense that, like, more people like the Giants than the Jets, I feel like, in the New York, New Jersey area. True. And so they bump that team up a little bit, and that team gets a little more love, more, like, you know what I mean? Like the coaches that want to go there are a little better than the coaches that usually want to go to the Jets. And and all that little bit, like, makes a difference. But I have very little difference for me between the Jets and the Giants, even though the Giants have the Super Bowl.
No, and you know what? You're right in what you say. You're spot on with that, because I remember growing up in New York, and yes, when people read the newspaper, and on the back page, the Giants owned it. It wasn't about the Jets unless it was something extravagant, like Keyshawn saying, "Give me the damn football," or
right, like a gimmicky type of report.
Otherwise, it's the Giants. You're right about that, because they had been around longer. The Giants
they have their fans because they're older fans, and they ain't going nowhere. Ain't no 60-year-old man changing his team when he's 60 years old. It's not going to happen.
No,
you know what I mean? So Jets fans are the Jets fans, and they're a New York team, and they're still, in my opinion, big market because they're in New York City. They share their stadium, like now that SoFi does that with the Rams and the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
That's on purpose, bro. Those are big towns, cities, New York, LA. They're trying to save money and build their fan bases. So that's why, all right, I'm not going to say that's why, but I feel like that's a good reason why the Chargers are better, and the Rams, like, turned it around and this and that. I just feel like football needs money to survive.
Yeah. Well,
so we have our big market teams, and if they don't have to win Super Bowls, they still make money. But you got to build up the little teams. Like when Carolina was doing well and they were an expansion team, I feel like that was like publicity. In my opinion, like that's how you build a fan base, you know?
Yeah, it was kind of weird that Kerry Collins of the Carolina Panthers was taking them to like the promised land back in the day.
And he was a Giant too.
And he was a Giant. And you know what? He took them to the Super Bowl. I don't want to say he took them to the Super Bowl, but he was their quarterback. Yeah,
he was
really
a tall
weird.
guy. He had a decent arm.
He had a really good arm. That game again. Remember the game against the Niners where they were kicking the shit out of us, and then we came back. We won the game. Crap on the field goal.
I remember all comebacks from the Niners against the Giants. They're memorable.
I was living in New York at the time. So long story short, me and a bunch of Giant fans are watching the game. I'm like, just come over. I don't care. I'm like, we're going to kill you. And I'm losing my mind, obviously, in the first half. In my own house, I lose my shit so much. I throw a fucking beer bottle clear across the room. Everybody decides to leave. Everybody's like, that's it. We're leaving. We're done. This game is
Party's over.
Party's over. And what happens? They come back and they win the freaking game. Now,
and you're sitting there alone with all the food. Everyone left.
Yeah, exactly right. So it'll work out for me. But did it matter? No, because the eventual Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think they beat us like 35-3 following week. God, that one hurt.
Yeah.
That one hurt. That hurt.
Yeah.
Our success in
Anyway,
the playoffs.
we only had we only watched the Niners against the Jets and Giants, so we know all those games.
Yeah, man, that's right. That's right. It was good to see those games. Oh, I got to make my
Well,
picks.
to get back to your original question, just so you know, I'm in no rush, so we can talk about whatever you want, and we can stop whenever you want.
I got a little bit of time.
Okay. Well, getting back to your question, Kirk Cousins, yeah, I'd start him. I'd start him because he's getting paid a shitload of money because he's been there all year and because you get to work. Do what we paid you to do. All right. And next year, you want to be a bridge for 3-4 games, that's fine. But I wouldn't even use him for that. I would make him do his job on Sunday, win this game. It's not a hard game to win. It's a winnable game. You have plenty of weapons. Fucking focus, man. Come on. You've been doing this your whole life. Yeah. I don't like I have to tell someone who I knew from Pop Warner basics about football still. Like they teach you this shit as a child, just like when you take your driving test. They teach you how to use your signal and stop at stop signs. That shit's not supposed to leave your brain. Yeah. It's supposed to stay in there forever. Basics and fundamentals. A lot of these kids in football, they don't have that. And I'm not saying Michael Penix can't go out there, throw 4 touchdowns, and run for 150 yards, because I think he actually could. Yeah, I think he could.
I mean,
but at this point of the season and in a game that's to make it to stay in the playoffs, you're just going to throw a child in there? Who's done that before besides Brock? I mean, I can't think of any. It
doesn't happen often. Usually not by choice. It would happen by chance if a quarterback.
And they know they're going to run the ball a lot. You said it. We all know it. So it's a Giants. It's a great game to put them in there. I just think that like now this is it. Now you're going to switch shit up. Do that in Game 6. Like do that Game 8.
The thing. He was playing well then. I mean, they were in first place. Everything was going good. They had beaten Tampa Bay twice, in a matter of a couple of weeks, or 3 weeks, whatever it was. Yeah, everything was going well. But I mean, for God's sake, the last 5-6 games, I mean, to only have 1 touchdown pass, throwing interception after interception and bad ones. And again, not like he was just missing people or went off their fingertips. I mean, he is throwing the ball to the other team blindly. It is just unreal. So again, I'm in favor of this. Let it happen. They drafted the kid for a reason. We've seen, again, it is late in the season, so it's going to be really difficult. Nobody expects Atlanta to win the fucking Super Bowl this year. So I don't really think that is an expectation even for that team. But you know what? It's time to get the kid in. And Kirk Cousins, they're going to have to eat a lot of money. They're going to see if they can trade him next year. And they're going to have to pay for a lot of his contract too. So they put themselves in kind of a crappy situation. But if Penix works out, then it does work out because they don't have to pay this kid for another 3 years.
And then look, there's going to be a lot of young quarterbacks coming into the league next year, and they're going to need somebody like a Darnold with J.J. McCarthy over there in Minnesota, right? Something like that. Yeah. It's just that Darnold never plateaued. He stayed at a high elite level of play this year, so you can't take him out. Not that I think we spoke about this a long time ago. JJ was never the plan this year, from what I understand, from what I read.
No, he wasn't.
What I saw.
No, he was not the plan, but he is supposed to be the plan for next year. But nobody expected Sam Darnold to have Minnesota at 12-2 right now, and I
can't even believe it now. I thought they lost like 4 games this year.
Unreal. They're playing really, really good football. I can't take it away from them, man. And you know what? They've been behind in games and they've come back. They've shown that they can win every which way. And they got offensive power. They can score with a lot. Look, Aaron Jones, I know that he's not your favorite running back in the entire world, but
he's not my favorite, but I would never say he's not an incredible running back.
Right. So there you go. So he can play. They got one of the best wide receiver duos in the league, TJ Hawkinson.
They really do now.
They can play, and they play good defense, for the most part. So you know what? Minnesota, again, maybe we're not picking them for the Super Bowl, but I don't think anybody wants
to. They could be there.
And they could. No, I don't think anybody wants to play this team. And this is a legit.
When someone doesn't see you coming, it's a good thing.
They can get home field advantage. I mean, if they,
they're like sneaky.
Really, it's unbelievable, man. Yeah. Unreal. Well, so as far as Kirk Cousins goes, I know that neither one of us picked him for a freaky fantasy football draft, but you picked Jaden Daniels, Devon Achane, Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, and the Ravens defense against my Sam Darnold, speaking of him, Joe Mixon, Jacoby Myers, George Kittle, and the New York Jets. Now, I scored 50 points. You, my friend, kicked my ass. You scored 74. So well done. You won.
Thank you. I'm not going to lie. I kind of cheated a little. They're like basically all my players. I fucking know these guys very well. And so, I did win last week. Just barely by 15 points. And I think it was the Evans week. Was the Evans week? Oh, no, that was the week before, I believe.
Yeah, I think the week bore. Yeah. You won the first one. I won the second one. And you won this one.
Yeah.
So
next
now
year
we already.
we'll have the whole year next year to do
Oh yeah,
a
we'll have the
fair
whole year.
assessment.
Right. We'll start from week 1. We'll go right away, and that's going to make it even tougher because that the rule is we can't use a player that we already picked.
That's
I
right.
can use a player that you picked. You can use a player I picked, but we cannot use the same player throughout the entire year. And 18 weeks makes it a little bit difficult sometimes.
It will be very difficult. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be fun because we'll be hitting that waiver wire, deep waiver wire in like the 16th, 17th game of the year next year.
We're going to need to really keep track of the players that we picked.
That's another thing too. We have to keep like a check.
Yep. There you go. Well, let's do it, man. Let's do our freaky fantasy football draft of the week. Oof. Kenny, you get the first pick. We have QB, wide receiver, running back, tight end, and defense as always. Snake draft style. You go first. Any position you want.
This is really hard. Oh man.
That's supposed to be easy.
Week 16. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something I would never do because I don't like this guy either, but I feel like it's a perfect opportunity for him to go off. James Conner, Cardinals running back.
You know I love him, man.
Against Carolina, I believe, this week, which is terrible against the run.
All right.
And Kyler hasn't thrown like for more than a touchdown in like a long time. He's just not flowing out there.
They've kind of fallen off. They've kind of fallen off in the division. It really seems between Seattle and the Rams right now, and they play each other, I think, week 18, as a matter of fact, and that could be for the division. We know we're out of it, so we're not going to talk a lot of 49ers right now, so forget about that shit.
Right.
Jeez. All right, so I get 2 picks here. Let me go with, Philly's going to, they want that number 1 seed right now, so I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. I'll take him for my quarterback.
Oof, man. I'm playing Jalen this week. I'm playing
are you?
Amon-Ra this week. But here's the good news.
Oh, wow.
He had Kamara and Montgomery.
Oh,
and he won 10 games in a row.
Wow.
And those guys are now gone.
Yeah, that's
he's got Ramondre, Tyrone Tracy, and Darnell Mooney in his flex. Those are his running back and flex. Besides, he's got a lot of work to do.
He
also started Denver's defense, which got crushed, and he only got 3 points from the D. So right now he was slated to get like 125 points projected. He's already under 100 for this. So hopefully I do well, but I got a bunch of guys who are like semi banged up and like on bad teams or like playing for no reason and shit. And like, so there's things that like anything can happen, even with all those losses.
Anything can happen, bro. You never know. That's why they say any given Sunday, right?
I actually had Kyler on my bench and dropped him for Indy's D this week. But the reason I did that is I have Jaden, and I cannot, as much as I would have, like on a regular week, I may have started Kyler against Carolina instead of Jaden, but I'm not going into the playoffs and not starting Jaden Daniels. That's just crazy.
Oh, no, dude. Yeah, man. I mean, listen, kid's a good player. There's no doubt. And that now they haven't been lighting up the scoreboard like they were earlier in the year, but I mean, you can still do a lot of things, and plus get you rushing yards, which counts for a lot when it comes to fantasy, when it comes to a quarterback also, no doubt. So you got Connor with your first pick. I get 2 picks. I already took Hurts. I'm going to take, now that speaking of David Montgomery is now out, it's all on Jahmyr Gibbs. Going against Chicago in the cold weather. They're going to run the ball, give him the ball about 25 times. I can see some big numbers out of him.
I can see some huge numbers out of him. Yeah. 200 rushing, 75 receiving possibly.
Oh, my Lord.
2 touchdowns minimum.
Look at this.
Mean, that's what it's looking like.
Yeah, I mean, he can do it, man. This guy, he's the rhythm of the rhythm and brews, man. He can do it.
There's no way that the backup Reynolds is going to get I think he gets like maybe 3 touches the entire
he'll
game.
Spell him here and there, but that's all. Yeah.
Here's the one thing, and we've seen this before. I've seen it with Bucky. If Detroit is manhandling, the team, Gibbs may be sitting his ass down.
That's possible.
And then there's that,
do
which is
damage.
At the end of the season.
If they're manhandling him, he'll have a lot to do with it. So it'll be probably fine if he sits in the fourth
you're
quarter.
Actually right. But that's what I mean. You can have your 150 yards all-purpose, 2 touchdowns, and then third and fourth quarter, you may not see the guy.
That's
because they want him in the playoffs and healthy. And if they got this game in the bag, that's just the – but we know that with fantasy. We know that. I've seen it with neighbors, and they're not even a good team, and they weren't even winning. He'd get like 13 targets in the first half or just the second half. If something's going on, and then that's when he started screaming about not getting enough targets. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
He's like, why am I only getting passes in the first half or the second half? Like, what is this? Throw it to me every single play.
That's what great players want.
That's like Jamar Chase, same thing. He's like, dude, I'm open on every play. Throw it to me every single time.
Why not? I mean, that guy, I honestly, in the beginning, I wasn't sure. I'm like, maybe he's just like a rookie 1-year wonder. He may turn into an Odell Beckham type, but no, he is absolutely legit. He is top 3 wide receiver in football. No question about it. No question.
Yes.
Kenny, your turn, man. You can go quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, and defense. You get 2
I'm
picks.
already scared. Jalen Hurts and
Gibbs.
Jalen Hurts and Gibbs is disgusting already. I'm hoping that they're both just run away with that game so that they're not playing in the second half. Here's a cool D I'm going to take. I feel like it's in the bag with this defense, and I'm going to take a defense now, which I usually wait and take my tight end defense last. But the Bills versus the Patriots this week.
Yeah, that's
even though they're not great against the run, and I'm hearing Ramondre could have a nice game. I don't see them scoring very much.
That's the thing. They're going to be playing catch up for the most part, so they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. Maybe Drake May is a good pick. Who knows? But no, the Bills. That's a good one right there. I had them on my list. Not bad. All right, you got another one.
Here's the thing. I don't think I've taken Scary Terry before. Have I? Can you see that sheet? Okay. I think I will. Right, I'll go ahead and I'll take Scary Terry.
All right. Terry.
They're telling me not. They're telling. I don't have him, but people are saying don't start Terry. I'm like, don't start Terry.
No,
in the playoffs.
Legit. He's legit. He'll eat up rookie corners for breakfast. What
are you going to do? You put in like Josh Downs, and then he gets you 3 points, and you got Scary Terry on the bench with 27 points.
Yeah,
is that really why you want to go out in the playoffs?
No, you can't. You can't even sit him up against the best defenses. He's that good of a wide receiver.
I'd rather have Kupp score 0 points and Mooney score 0 points, which they did that week, and still play my studs. That's just, that's crazy. It is what it is. You know what happens in fantasy.
Yeah, easily could have a 2-touchdown game, no doubt. All right, let's see.
Do I get another guy now?
Nope. On the way back, you'll be able to finish that. You got Connor McLaurin and the Bills. I got Hurts and Gibbs, so I get 2 picks right now. I'm gonna go with I like McLaurin. That's a pretty good pick. But I'm going to go with my guy who is playing on my fantasy team, and I'm going to have a lot of faith in him that he's going to do it this week. It's not Jamar Chase. It's T. Higgins, actually. I'm going to go with Higgins against the Browns. Okay. So that'll be my wide receiver. And my tight end I'll pick now since you already picked your defense. I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
I will go with I have the same idea as you. The Cardinals against the Panthers, they should be able to put up 24, 27 points. Give me McBride.
Ooh, you stole him. That was my next guy.
Oh, there you go. It's all about when you pick, baby.
Yep.
Love it.
All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so I think I need a tight end.
You need quarterback and tight end.
Quarterback and tight end. All right. Something I would never do. I just don't. Who's your quarterback again? You took.
I got Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Okay. You know what? I'll take Baker Mayfield, which I haven't done yet.
All right, Baker. Hey, I'm rooting for you because I got him in the fantasy playoffs over here, so I'm really hoping he does well. I hope the rest of your team sucks, but I'm hoping he does well.
Right, and then my tight end, which you stole, let me go Freiermuth.
Ooh, Freiermuth.
I'll go Muth because I don't like Warren. Pickens I don't think is playing again.
No, he's not. That's killing that team right now, man. It really is. It goes to show you how much they need him on offense.
Yeah.
Damn, too bad. All right, so your team is Baker Mayfield, James Conner, Terry McLaurin, Pat Freiermuth, and the Buffalo Bills defense. I got Hurts, Gibbs, T. Higgins, McBride, and now my defense for the week is going to be, you know what? They're playing the Giants. I'm going to take the Falcons defense. The Falcons actually have a pretty decent defense. They really do.
They do.
So I'm going to go with them. So that rounds out my team. All right. Kenny's up 2-1 on me.
You got Tyrone Tracy banged up. I think he's going to be splitting with Singletary. Neighbors is really the only guy there. Wandale gets targeted sometimes, but it just doesn't. It's not happening like it was earlier in the season. Wandale had a ton of targets. He was making catches, and that hasn't kept on through the year. So
let's see.
You got pretty much. You'll know what you'll be targeting in on defense. So it's probably going to be a good stream.
Not bad. All right. So that is a Freaky Fantasy Football Draft for Week 16. As far as our Week 15 picks, all right, both of us did pretty well, but one of us did better than the other one.
Okay.
And that would be you, my friend. I went 12-4 against my 11-5. Very, very nicely done. We both had good weeks. I love it when that happens, but there's got to be a victor, and it's you. No tie. So 12-4. Good job. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Well done.
I went 13-3 on McNiners, so I don't know what the hell I did.
I don't know which game you switched then.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell I switched. I don't even know, man. I have no idea.
I couldn't tell you. I don't know, but still.
Hey, I don't know if you saw this. I just read this front page. 3 QBs the Raiders could target in free agency, and the first picture I see is Justin Fields.
Oh,
have you heard of this?
Really? No. I figured they would be going to the draft.
They want Shador. They want Shador.
They do. The Giants might go ahead and pick him up.
That's another one. And Cleveland also is going to have a pretty good pick. And New England, they're not going to need a quarterback, though.
No, they don't need a quarterback. They're good to go. So yeah.
And then they're also looking at Darnold and Trey Lance, the Raiders.
Go right ahead. Trey Lance.
Go ahead and take Jimmy G 3.0.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
sorry, but I love. Look, I'm not going to give Sam Darnold too much crap, but I feel like I've known him for so long that I don't know what's going on over there in Minnesota. There's no way he goes to the Raiders and they do well. That's a Jimmy G.
No, that's not going to. You see, that's the thing. No, he needs to have an offensive coordinator that is somewhere on par with Kevin O'Connell and Kyle Shanahan, who were able to get the best out of him. So yeah,
I've called Vegas.
I've
called Vegas multiple times live. A laundering organization, like they're just money laundering there. So you pick Jimmy G last time. That was your guy, and now you're gonna go Sam Darnold, maybe Trey Lance. Like, I'm sorry, what is happening?
No,
that's how you want to win?
No. They're gonna draft a quarterback. I mean, there's Shador, Cam Ward. I think there's some other kid. I'm not even sure who's coming, but I think there's about
Carson Beck, and there's some...
maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't pay too much attention to college. I know there's a college playoff game on tonight, Indiana versus Notre Dame. I might check that out, actually. I might give that a look. Throw a few dollars on it. What the hell? I only have a few dollars, so I'll try to win it back. All right. We would have picked the Broncos and Chargers, but that game is done Thursday Night Football, where the Chargers were down 20-10, where had a free kick field goal at the end of the first half to make it.
No one ever saw that shit before.
Nope, that does not happen. But Jim Harbaugh is smart enough to know the rule.
That's right.
Cameron Dicker, their kicker, kicked the hell out of it. Dicker, the kicker. And off they went in the second half, making halftime adjustments. And the Chargers take it. They tie. Now the Broncos have the same record at 9-6. Both are playoff bound. We will see them in the AFC conference playoffs. No doubt about it.
I don't know if did you see the interview from Dicker after the game? He's like, we've been practicing that shit since
That's what I'm saying, man.
Since the offseason.
Because you never know when it's going to come up. You never know.
And you heard the Chiefs say the same thing about the overtime rules in the Super Bowl. They're like, we've been covering this shit all year.
That's what good teams do. That's what good coaches do. They have you prepared for all these situations. That's the difference between that and a Brandon Staley or a Brandon Faley, whatever you want to call it.
Oh boy, Brandon Faley.
Yeah, punk. Anyway, all right. So our first game that we're going to pick is the 9-5 Texans against the 13-1 Kansas City Chiefs, looking to hold on to that number one spot. Saturday game. What do you think, my friend?
I have to go Chiefs still. Okay. It doesn't matter to me if Carson Wentz plays even. I'm picking the Chiefs.
Well, it looks like Patrick Mahomes is good to go.
He's that kind of guy.
Marquise Brown is going to make his debut. I mean, he'll maybe get like around 20 to 30 snaps tops. I don't think he'll be in the entire time, but look for him to make some moves. Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, they got Noah Gray. They got a lot. They still have playmakers. Did you know that Kansas City is one of 4 teams to not score 30 points or more this year?
Meanwhile, I know that. Meanwhile, you got Buffalo. I think they've scored 8 games this year with 30, or 10 in a row, or some shit with 30 points.
At least. Yeah. But Kansas City is 13-1 without scoring 30 points. The other teams are the Raiders, the Giants, and the Patriots, who have a combined record of something like 7-36. How amazing is that?
You only got to win by 1.
KC, unbelievable. But you know what? I'm not picking them this week. I'm picking Houston's defense to make.
Most people did, yeah.
I like Houston this week. I do. I don't know. It's some sort of like bandwagon thing, but CJ Stroud and Nico Collins, Joe Mixon, that defense has been playing really well. They're getting after the quarterback. They made Miami's offense look inept last week. Yeah, you know what, man? I like Houston on the road. I think this is a big game, and I think they take it. So
I don't think you're wrong. I
disagree.
I don't think you're wrong. I'm just going to pick the team that continues to win all the time. That's just how I'm going to. I'll have to do it that way.
And they continue to win all the time, so why not? You got to keep on with it, man.
When it's a game like this, too, I feel like this is a hard game. I feel like this is 2 good teams. This is a hard game. I like D'Amico. I like Andy Reid. anything can happen in this game. What I don't like, so like when this happens, I've said this before, I just try and break it down to super simple. And so what I want to do is I'm going to look at Stroud and the year that he's having, and I just don't like it.
Exactly.
And well, you've got Mahomes over there who wins all the. He's like a winner. He's a winner.
That's what he
and
is.
So that's really the only reason that I'm picking the Chiefs.
All right, fair enough. And then Mahomes is reason enough along with Andy Reid, so I got no problem with that. Saturday, we have 2 games. Our second one is the rematch. The Steelers at Ravens this time. 10-4 Steelers versus 9-5 Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 6 points in this game. They're not liking Pittsburgh's offense without George Pickens. That's a lot. Their running game really isn't there. TJ Watt a little banged up. I think this is a bad spot for Pittsburgh right now with a real hungry Ravens team looking to prove – Money, shut up. Looking to prove something right now. So I'm going to take the Ravens in this game. I think it'll be close because Pittsburgh plays them tough. So give me 23-20 Baltimore.
I'm with you on Baltimore. I don't like Russ Wilson, and I think that he proved me right last week. So I just don't. He's not the guy that I want taking me to the Super Bowl. I'm extremely concerned right now if I'm Pittsburgh.
You know what Pittsburgh's problem is? They're not methodical enough on offense. They rely on big plays too much.
Yeah, that's what he does. He can tear that shit out. That's what they do.
Without Pickens in there, they're not getting it. And he's not going to play again. So I don't see it happening.
And I haven't heard Mike Williams' name at all.
No. I think he's caught 1 ball since he's been there, honestly. You just don't see it. So your boy Fryermuth will probably be getting a lot of looks. I don't doubt
That's one of the reasons I picked a little dink and dunk in this game.
That makes sense. Our next game we talked about a little bit, the 2-12 Giants at the Falcons, 7-7, with Michael Penix coming in. So I know you don't like the move, but does Atlanta get a win and keep themselves in contention in the NFC South?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially if the honestly, here we go with like when we talk about Kirk Cousins, I would stay with Kirk Cousins just like I would have stayed with Daniel Jones. That's just me. Okay,
okay.
We already committed to this. You know, now you have all your team, and there's like rookies out there, like Neighbors. He has 4 quarterbacks now. He has no.
What if Penix goes and balls out? He throws 3 touchdowns.
I can believe that.
18 of 23 or whatever it is. Are you going to say, you know what? They were right.
I can't. Like I think the Giants' D is not that bad, and for a child to go in there and just run shit, I just don't think it's going to happen. And right. I brought up Brock before, but the reason Brock balled out when he came on the scene, our team was absolutely disgusting.
I know he's a rookie. I know he's a rookie in the NFL, but he's got a lot of experience playing quarterback. He played like 4.5 years in college or some shit like that. I don't know how that works. You know, those rules are so crazy. I don't get it. So he's like 32 years old. No, I'm kidding. So this kid's ready to go. Look, I'm with you. I'm with Atlanta in this one. I think they're going to run the ball a lot, probably on the ground for about 250 yards between Algier and Robinson. So I think Atlanta takes this one. I'm with you on that.
We have a lot of good. We have a lot of young players that have come into the league in the last 3 or 4 years that have stuck around. They're really good. But when you go back, I do this sometimes. I'll go back and look at the draft, right? And I'll look at the first round, and I won't know 20 guys anymore.
Oh, no doubt about it, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there's always,
it's rare. Yeah, I know.
And look at how many quarterbacks already this year have been great. Are we going to have another great rookie quarterback?
I mean, damn, 6 quarterbacks were drafted last year's draft. You know, some haven't even played, actually, when you talk about J.J. McCarthy. I mean, there's a lot of people out
Maybe
there.
The best people haven't even played yet, and that's what's crazy. Penix and McCarthy could be the 2 best quarterbacks. Meanwhile, we have rookies out there like Daniels, and I'm not going to say Caleb is doing badly. I think for a rookie, he's doing pretty good.
He's not having a bad season. He's been dealt a really bad hand over there, despite he does have talent on that team. Look, Jaden Daniels got his team in the playoffs right now. Bo Nix has got his team in the playoffs right now. I know what Drake May is doing in New England, but he looks hard.
Yeah, but even though it's not, he's just one guy. He is
looks
playing
well.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really interesting out there. You know, a lot of young quarterbacks doing their thing.
I'm thinking that New England goes for a running back maybe in this next draft. They got the quarterback.
They got a quarterback, yeah. I mean, they have a lot of other needs out there. I mean, they definitely need skill positions. I'll agree with you on that.
Imagine they grab Hunter and Gonzalez and Hunter and cornerback.
If they can draft Travis Hunter, I think that would be absolutely excellent, and they should play him both ways if they do. No doubt about it.
I know that I may be like making this up because it happens sometimes. I feel like my man is going to put it in his contract. I want to play both sides. Period.
Hey,
Period.
look, why not? If he's that good, go ahead and freaking play him both ways. It doesn't have to be
Absolutely.
all game long every snap. But,
Exactly. He
get
doesn't
him
have
in.
to play every damn snap.
No, just get him in there, man. I think that he will be used on offense, but I think that a defensive back is more important than a wide receiver. So I think he'll predominantly be, a cornerback in this league.
Or a center. Right?
Center.
I'm sorry, but I know it's crazy, but for me, if I have a top 15 pick, I have to grab one of those linemen. I have to.
It's very important. Again, me and you preach that on the show.
I feel like you can get a defensive tackle, defensive end in round 2.
Yeah, sure, of course. I mean, it depends on the draft. Sometimes it's more defensive end heavy, defensive tackle heavy, offensive line. It seems offensive line is always a big one. Always drafting between like 12 and 15 offensive.
I mean, especially if it's a need, we should probably think about it sometimes.
Yeah. How about that, right? All right. Let's get to our next one over here. Cardinals and Panthers. Not the most exciting game, but Arizona looking to stay alive at 7-7. The Panthers are 3-11, just trying to show the world they can play football, and I think they might show it. Actually, I like the fight in them. They're playing good. Again, these young players who nobody knows what their name is, so I'm not going to go through it right now and bore people to death. But they can play football, and they're playing with heart. And I know they're only 3-11, but the Cardinals, they just don't do it for me, man. I mean, they are up and down. They're bipolar is what they are. So I think Carolina can pull off the upset at home. I'm going to do it 23-21.
Cardinals were 4-0 before the bye, and then the NFL was like, take a break. And they were like, all right, we'll take a week off. This will be fun.
That worked out well for them.
Come back, 0-3 or 0-4, whatever the hell they are. I think they won last week. Didn't they win last week?
They did win last week, yeah.
So 3-1 or 1-3 after the bye. But if you look at Kyler's stats, the man just doesn't run the way he used to. He ain't scrambling like that anymore. He's not throwing too many touchdowns like anymore. I think he's got like 1 or 0 touchdowns in like the last 7 games. I think he may have thrown more than 1 touchdown or run for 1 and passed for 1 once, maybe.
It's not looking that great. I thought.
Meanwhile, you got, like you mentioned, Carolina has a lot of young players. I do know.
They do.
I'm impressed. I like them. And they have a very good shot of running away with this game. I feel like you can easily run. I think you could run better on Arizona than you can pass on them. So I think that's going to be a focus for them. They're going to try and run the ball.
Got 2 very short quarterbacks. So you taking Carolina with me?
I am going to take... No, I'm going to take Cardinals.
Yeah,
the names are too, the Trey McBride and the Kyler Murray.
You got no balls.
The names. I go with the names and the big brands.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I didn't know Arizona was a big brand, but all right, that's news. Maybe bigger than Carolina. I can understand.
Yeah, for now, barely.
All right, let's hit up the next one. We got the NFC Norris division. We got the Lions at 12-2 versus the Bears at 4-10. We talked about both teams. Detroit just injury all over the place. And now again, David Montgomery is just not looking good. Every time you look at the Lions game, there's another player walking off the field or limping off the field or being carried off the field. It is just horrible to watch. But the Bears cannot get it together. They just cannot mesh. It's not working. Caleb Williams looks like a good player, no doubt, but I think they should be doing a lot better with the pieces they have, but there's too many moving parts in the coaching arena. Look, the Lions need to bounce back. Their defense is a problem right now, but if they can score 40 points, it's going to be hard for teams to consistently score 40 points against them. So give me Detroit on the road.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Detroit. I just think they're too good, even with the 22 injuries they've had this year. I think 11 on both sides of the field. On defense, 11 on defense, 11 on offense, or something like that. And we talked about it last week. Their D actually got a little better, even somehow. Gibbs getting the ball more just makes it even worse, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like you don't want Gibbs to have the ball because he's the guy who can break it off for like a 39-yard touchdown.
No doubt.
Montgomery's going to run over you. So
right.
Montgomery in there, he's going to run up the middle. He's going to knock some people over, have a couple goal line touchdowns possibly. And so Gibbs might go off, and it's going to be a lot of running in this game. And because the Bears have a decent secondary.
And, between the two of them, Gibbs really had been the guy for the most part, especially coming on the last month. You had seen him getting a lot more of the carries, a lot, more passes, being in on more downs, being more of that threat. So, again, not a good thing that Montgomery is gone. I'm not trying to say that, but
no, not a good.
Not at a loss. They're all right with Gibbs over there. They got
they didn't lose too much except for maybe like a little break for Gibbs, right?
Right. Absolutely.
You know who I always thought was a good tandem would be Singletary Montgomery. Then it's not like Singletary's not as good as Gibbs. And
No.
for that reason, I feel like they work better together. If they were both on the Giants, they would have been pretty decent.
Yeah. Well, they had their Thunder and Lightning back in the day with Tiki Barber and Brandon Jacobs. Yeah,
Yes,
we
they
remember
did.
Number
Number 27, Brandon Jacobs.
That's right.
Now?
Big bad boy, man. So I always want, like, how is he doing this? Just
Lightning
one of
and
the biggest
Thunder.
running backs I've ever seen. Christian Okoye type of style.
I used
We're
to love
really
the
beating
bus.
ourselves.
I used to love the bus.
Ourselves. All right, AFC South, Titans and Colts. So Tennessee 3-11. They're benching Will Levis in favor of Mason Rudolph, actually. And the Colts, they got their Anthony Richardson, who I actually debated starting in fantasy this week, but I got Baker Mayfield, so I got to go with more of the sure thing. But the Colts are still fighting for a playoff chance, even though they're not going to get it. Mathematically, they are still alive. But I do think that they're the better team in this game. But anything can happen in a divisional battle, Kenny, right?
Absolutely, especially a divisional battle between these two teams. Anything can definitely happen. If Pollard has a good game again, is he playing or is it going to be Spears?
I think both.
I think they're both in there, which could be a problem. The Colts, I'm actually starting them this week with my D in fantasy. I feel good about it. And here's the thing. I don't know if you know this. When Rudolph is in there, he's better than Levis.
I know.
I feel like if Rudolph played all year, they would have been a better team. But here's the thing about Rudolph that people may not know, even though I think we all agree they're better with him. He throws more interceptions than Levis. Even more.
That's kind of weird because Will Levis is the king of the pick six. I mean,
the pick six is definitely worse, but Rudolph throws even more interceptions, but I still like them better with Rudolph. It's just if you left the guy in there all year, maybe the interceptions wouldn't be so high. Yeah. And so I do think they're an offensive threat. They got Ridley, they got Westbrook Ikeen, they got Okonwu at tight end. All these guys can get a lot of targets and score. And the Colts are just like so up and down.
Well,
and
go ahead.
We've seen Taylor mess up. We've seen Richardson lose motivation, and I think Downs is injured right now. One of their wide receivers. I think Downs might be injured this week, or he's hurt, or he's like hobbled, or whatever it is. I think they're just not going to have enough. The Colts could blow this game, but I'm going to take the Colts.
Okay, so even though you think the Colts might,
I'm just want to give the Titans
their bet over here.
Yeah, I want to give the Titans the little bit of respect because I know they're a little better and they can score and put up a lot of yards and points with Rudolph in there.
Yeah, I think this game is just. I like Shane Steichen as a coach. I think that we'll have this team ready to play. I think that you're going to see Anthony Richardson running the ball a lot more than we used to see him because that's going to be how they move the ball a lot, and that's how they're going to get their running game going with Jonathan Taylor. And he's just got to remember to hold on to the ball after you cross that little white line by the end zone, and everything will be fine.
That's right. Keep the ball in your hand. And I did a little.
Hold on to it.
Not that I didn't.
What's the rush? Why do you need to drop it so quickly? Is it burning your hand?
It's showboat. It's showboat stuff.
So sickening.
Stupid.
Whatever.
But here's what I will say: the Colts last 4 games, just as good a defense as Buffalo and just as good a defense as Philly in the last 4 games. They actually have more interceptions than both of those teams, and just a few less sacks. And they've all given up about the same amount of points. They're a solid D.
Turnovers are important.
And hearing that Rudolph was in there kind of made me a little concerned about starting the Colts, but I'm going to stick with it because my other defense is Philly, and I don't want to put them up against Jaden.
All right. Well, again, there's a reason why Tennessee has only won 3 games, and there's a reason why Mason Rudolph has been a lifelong career backup quarterback. I mean, he may be better than Levis, but that's not saying a lot. Will Levis is not a starting quarterback. I'm sorry, it's not. So I can't do it. I'm going with Indy as well. I got to stick with them. Our next game is interesting because I don't like the Rams on the road in an early game, and they're going against the Jets. Again, they're only 4-10. The Rams have to win this game. They really do because Seattle may win at home against the Vikings. We'll talk about that later. If they do, if they don't, it really doesn't matter. The Rams have to win. They need to get to 9-6 right now and try to get a stranglehold in this division if they can. But the Jets have been playing tough football. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole Jets rant over here, but I'm watching their offense play well. The problem is their defense. Now, can Matthew Stafford take Nakua and Cooper Kupp on the road and go throw the ball for 350, 400 yards? I'm just really not sure because the Jets have pretty decent cornerbacks in DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner.
And they can stop the run as well.
This is a hard matchup for the Rams. I'm not sure that this is like some sort of like cakewalk that they can go beat the Jets no problem. I'm going to go with the upset here, Kenny. I think the Jets can actually pull this one out, and I think the Rams are going to have a tough day at the office. It's a matter of the Jets, not just their cornerbacks, but that defense saying, you know what, today's the day. It's our day. We're going to own the day. We're not going to let these guys come into our house and win this game. I think they're capable of it, bro.
I think you're right. I think they are capable. I don't like that they're going away to New York, playing outside where it's going to be probably 30 degrees.
Yeah.
Not going to be great.
Not favorable. Matthew Stafford played his whole life in a dome, in Detroit and in LA.
The cornerbacks are disgusting in New York. They're good. I know they can stop the run as well. Kyron Williams is not Kyron Williams of last year.
No, so I mean, he's good. He's good, but
he's very good, but he's not the same guy as last year. The Jets do have a very good defense, and for some reason, I feel like Aaron's ready to play now. He's good. He's ready to play. He feels motivated.
Whereas about 4 or 5 weeks ago, they weren't talking about Aaron Rodgers. That's it. This is your last year. Now they're talking about him possibly even coming back to play for the Jets next year. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Here's another thing I noticed, and I think you know this. Devontae and Aaron have an incredible record together.
They got great chemistry. They
have great chemistry, but they're also they have a record, like a running record of how many touchdowns they've thrown together as the quarterback and the wide. That shit, and I don't know if you noticed the last couple weeks, he's been hyper targeting Devontae, and he's been having some wonderful numbers. And so I think that's really what he's concentrating on right now, his individual record with Devontae.
Maybe.
And that may be enough. That could be enough. So I'll go with you, even though I took the Rams in another pick'ems. I'm going to take the Jets because I think I made some horrible picks in the last show.
Well, you didn't with us. You went 12-4 on Power 32, so that's
yeah. I did a good job last week there too, but I think I'm going to have a mess of a week this week.
All right. Well, so far, okay. I mean, we've been on the same page, not all the way through. You know, we got a couple of different games over here. Let's say we do on the rest of them. Our next game up is NFC East battle. The 12-2 Eagles go on the road to DC to play the Commanders, who are 9-5. I mean, the line is 3.5, I think, right now. Philly is
because of the home team, right?
Yeah. No, but Philly is favored 3.5.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I guess that makes sense because they
should be. Oh, no, they should be. Look, Philly's got the best defense in the league right now. They may be playing the best football out of anybody. They have the best running back, in my opinion, and they showed again that they can pass. Their defense is fantastic. They're great on the offensive and what more do you want? They are a better team. The Commanders have not been playing as well as they had in the beginning of the season. I don't want to say they're necessarily regressing, but when you only beat New Orleans 20-19, it scares me a little bit. And they had a couple of chances to win that game at the end, which is kind of sick. So all that aside, the Eagles are just too tough right now. They haven't lost in a long time. I don't see them losing this week. So give me Philly on the road.
I agree with you. I'm going to take Philly. I think they win this game. I just don't think it's a rout. And I'm sure you've heard people talking about it. Last time that they played each other, Jaden had the rib injury. And the 3-4 games before he played them, he didn't run the ball at all. And he was not doing so great. That's one of the problems. Also, it's a really good defense, like we just talked about. So he was hurt, and a really good defense, that's going to be a problem.
Oh yeah.
So
any one of those guys can rush.
I think this week means a little more to Washington this week. I think it means a little more to them. I feel like they have to win more. They're home. Jaden's healthy, and he's a sneaky dude. He can make it happen all by himself. Hopefully the running game for Washington can do well. I don't know how they're going to do running the ball, but if they can run the ball, I think Washington has a chance to win, but I'm going to take Philly as well.
I like Brian Robinson Jr. He can definitely run the ball. It's just that Philly is damn tough.
You praised Philly's D, and last week I said the same thing. I'm like, I know they're playing who they're playing. I'm going to start them with total confidence, and they played a great game.
They're doing it. They've been getting better and better and better as the year was going on, and if they can stay healthy, watch the hell out.
And that's why I think the only reason they'll be close is because they're going. Not that it's not a far trip going from Philly to Washington to play a game, but they're away. That's something. It always is a little bit of an advantage when you're away.
Of
And
course.
I also like that. I feel like they're really motivated to do well in this game. So I think they'll just keep it close, is what I'm saying.
I'm sure they are. I'm not saying it's a blowout at all. I think that Philly ends up pulling away at the end, winning it 28-18, but I think it'll be a decent game throughout. Let's go to our next game, which is an AFC North, not battle, but a game which they have to play because they scheduled it. The Browns are 3-11 at the Bengals 6-8. No playoff implications over here, even though Cincinnati is mathematically in it. They would have to win out, and basically everybody else would have to lose out. So it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But, the Browns and the Bengals, divisional matchups are always weird, Kenny. What do you think?
Divisional matchup, yes, but I don't think the Browns can keep up with the scoring of the Bengals, no matter how bad the Bengals defense is. Also, they're going to be starting DTR, so another Michael Penix situation. I think Michael Penix is probably a little better. And then some people will say, listen, DTR at least has played games in the NFL.
Yeah, he's played. He's won a few.
He's got Tillman, he's got Judy there, and he's got Elijah Moore. I know they don't have Chubb, but they got Njoku still. There's a lot. There's a lot of options over there. But yeah, Bengals take this game, especially in the early game at Cincinnati. I'm going to go Bengals.
Yeah, Cleveland had the home game last week, and it was against Kansas City. So take that for what it's worth. They were only able to put up 7 points in that game.
That's pretty bad, but I actually don't think they played a horrible game.
Well, they didn't play good enough, and Chubb went down too, so that's not a good sign. I mean, he was not that he was having some great year or anything like that. I mean, he came off the IR originally as it was, but yeah, no Chubb. You got to rely on DTR throwing accurate passes to Jerry Jeudy down the field and so on and so forth.
When your running back goes out like that, I mean, that's probably like 60% of your game plan, and so shit gets messed up, and you're already struggling as it is, and your line gives up a ton of sacks. It's going to happen.
Absolutely. So I'm with Cincinnati with you on that one also. I got them winning this game 29-14. They may score more points than that. So this next game is really interesting, and that's Minnesota and Seattle. The game is in Seattle. Seahawks are 8-6. They're right up there with the Rams in the NFC West, so this game is extremely important to them. But as it is as well to the 12-2 Vikings, who got Detroit coming up a little bit down the road, and they want to make sure that they stay at 2 losses. So that game could be for the division and quite possibly for the number 1 overall seed. Minnesota's got a lot to play for. Look, I know that you like Seattle this year, and you know what? They've been playing some really good football. Can what they have right now? Doesn't look like Kenneth Walker's going to play. DK Metcalf has been kind of up and down. Geno Smith, you know what you're going to get out of him. The defense has been playing pretty good, especially in the secondary. All right, so that could take away from something that Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson might do. So you got some really interesting matchups and games within the game over here. What are your thoughts?
I have to go with the Vikings because they have to win this. They can't fall behind now. And so it's a huge game. Seahawks, I don't think that they have the weapon. They're hurt.
Yeah, I think their best weapon might be their 12th man, the crowd.
I love Kenneth. Yeah, that's a good point. That's probably the best thing they got going for them. Geno, I don't love. Never did.
Me either.
DK hasn't done squat.
No. Jackson Smith-Njigba has been their number 1 guy this year.
He's the main guy. Yeah, he took over the role. He's stealing the targets from DK, and he deserves it. He's just playing better. The Kenneth Walker Jr. hurts, I think, even as well as Charbonnet did the other week or last week, whenever it was. I still think you need your number 1 running back.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker was a big part of that offense, and he was really running that ball and eating up clock and moving the chains. And can Charbonnet do it this week? I don't know against that defense, but they will be able to pass the ball on Minnesota. We know that. But still, no way. Vikings got this just more important game.
Yeah, and look, Minnesota's better overall, and we can't underestimate what that defense is able to do under Brian Flores. I mean, they are able to put together some really good games. They confuse you at the line. They put 6 guys on the line of scrimmage at times. You don't know who's coming and who's not coming.
Sometimes they rush 3.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. They disguise what they're doing really well. I like Minnesota. I think it'll be a really good game, to be honest with you. 31-25. So look for Seattle to stay in it for a little bit in that one.
Yeah, I mean, they're home. They should put up a fight.
They should, and they got the home crowd behind them. And you know what? Mike McDonald, give him credit. He's been doing a good job as a rookie head coach this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's football, man. He's had some injuries and some bad luck, and this shit happens, and that's what separates the men from the boys come this time of year. Any little mistake, any little injury, any little disadvantage to take you right out of it.
You got it, man. You got it. And right now, the Patriots had a major disadvantage against the Bills. Opposite records, 3-11 versus 11-3. Buffalo any hope that they have of getting this #1 seed. I can tell you one thing: if Kansas City loses to Houston on Saturday, on Sunday, you're going to see the Bills put up about 50 points. Okay, it's going to be a match. It'll be a match. And according to me, that's going to happen. I think Houston will win. So therefore, I think Buffalo will cover, I think, the 14 points that they're favored or even more, and absolutely just put it on New England. The game's in Buffalo. No reason why the MVP right now. And you know what? I want to talk to you about this for 1 second, actually, after you make your pick. Josh Allen is the MVP right now. I'm going with the Bills in this game. But see, that's the thing. Some people are sleeping on Lamar Jackson. He's got just about as good numbers as him, and he's been doing it all year long as well.
And he's got the record, which is what people don't like about Burrow, right? He has a terrible record, but Burrow's having an incredible year as well. I would say Lamar and Burrow are way better quarterbacks than Allen. But
okay, well, we're going to have to talk about that for a second, but we got a question. I think, again, that you're proving that you're out of your mind and you take some serious drugs. All right, we got a question from Custo Hockey over here. What's up, man? Love it. If you do fantasy advice, can I ask a full PPR question? Start Stroud or Cooper
Of course, we
Rush?
can answer your question.
How about that?
Well,
no, definitely not bothering. Kenny, you want to take it first, Stroud or Cooper
let me go
Rush?
first because the Chiefs' defense hasn't been elite in the last couple weeks, in my opinion. So there is a chance. The way Stroud has been playing this year, I just don't like his numbers that he's putting up. It's not that I don't think Houston can win, but Rush is going to be in this game, and he's probably going to be behind a lot of it. He's going to be throwing a lot. He's probably going to have a lot of yards and at least get a touchdown or two, but you may have interceptions as well. Cooper Rush ain't going to get, rushing yards. But what you may have in this game is a shootout. It could be a shootout game. Maybe. And I think that Cooper Rush being down the whole time, having to pass the ball, having plenty of options. I mean, he's got options over there to throw the ball to plenty of people. I think you can get yourself maybe up close to 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, maybe in this game. But that's probably going to be my ceiling for Rush.
I think that Cooper Rush, I agree, is the safer bet in this one, Costo Hockey, because Houston going against Kansas City. Look, obviously that's a tough game. Kansas City still has an excellent defense. The game is in Kansas City as well. That's another thing. So you expect that Houston will probably be trying to rely on running the ball a little bit more. But I do like Cooper Rush actually in this one because I do think that points are going to be scored. And he's got a guy named CD Lamb who is a top 3-4 wide receiver in the league. Yeah. And he can beat anybody one-on-one. And Cooper Rush knows how to find him. And if they get down near the red zone and close to the end zone, they're probably going to be throwing it in, not running it in. Rico Dowdle is not the guy that you really give it to, near the 5-4 yard line or something like that. So
yeah, they'll probably be running down. They'll probably be running Dowdle, but to open up the pass, right? Because you got to run something. So they're probably going to give Dowdle first, run on second, and just so that they can pass the ball more. But chances are, with Bucky Irving and Evans and all the tools they got over there in Tampa, they're going to be scoring a shitload of points. And so I don't mind like a quarterback on a bad team, especially if they're going to be down the whole time. When you have guys like Braden Cooks and you've got a Turpin over there who's been shining over there.
And
Ferguson is healthy now and he usually gets the second most targets after CD Lamb. They can score, and they have been scoring. They've been moving the chains and getting yards.
They could do it.
And Cooper Rush is not a bad start this week. No. Obviously, the name C.J. Stroud is what scares you, but I think you would be okay with. I think you'd be better off with Rush. I have to say, you might be better off with Rush.
Custo Hockey's agreeing. That's what I'm thinking. Hey, Money, stop it. That's
also,
what I'm
Mixon, Mixon's going to run that ball a ton.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Also, I know it hardly matters, but I like the idea of my opponent having all of his guys playing by the end of 4 p.m. games, so I know what I need from Cooper Rush. That is kind of interesting. You're right.
I also love that. That's a great point. Because I agree. I actually love to have my opponent playing the early games, and I don't want to have anybody in the early games, so that I know what I got to get in the second half of the day, and Sunday night and Monday. I agree with you. I'm with you on that. But, this is tough because you have a brand name like Stroud on a good team. But it's just mostly been the Mixon show. Earlier it was the Nico Collins. It was a little.
I just think it's not a good matchup for Houston outside against Kansas City in that environment for him to go ahead and throw 300 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns. This is just not going to happen. Even though Nico Collins may have a really good day, Trent McDuffie is a hell of a cornerback, and he's gonna make it tough on him. So Yeah. All right. Hey, Custo Hockey, good luck with that one. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good luck, man. We hope you have a good week and you win your league and your week. Good luck.
Yeah. I hope you don't have anybody on Jacksonville and Las Vegas because the Jaguars are 3-11, the Raiders are 2-12, and they unfortunately are playing each other this week.
They
but
are.
It's weird, man. Jacksonville's been scoring, Kenny. It's been strange. I mean, the Raiders just suck right now. It is just an absolute shit show with what's going on over there. I have no idea. Before we get into that game real quick, Custo's got one more. If you can ask one more question, let's get into it. His flex option over here, he's got Jonathan Taylor, though he's somewhat tempted by Jonnu Smith. Wow. Okay.
Ooh.
I listen, man, I got to jump on this one and say Jonathan Taylor, he's going to be having to make up for what he did last week against Denver, dropping that ball in the end before crossing the
end zone. He's got a good matchup.
And he's got a good matchup against Tennessee, where we thought they had a good defense in the beginning, but not so much so. Jonathan Taylor should have a monster game because I also believe that Anthony Richardson is going to be a threat running the ball. So I think you got to go with Taylor, even though I do understand that Jonnu Smith has been getting the ball. He's become their number one target now in Miami. They're playing the 49ers, a game that we'll get into, and they do have pretty good cover linebackers, namely Fred Ward. So my opinion is Jonathan Taylor.
As much as I love Jonnu Smith, why can't you play him at tight end? If you want to answer that, let me know.
Yeah, if you want to answer that, go ahead.
I would love to put Jonnu at tight end, to be honest with you, unless you got something better. But for the flex, I would go Taylor as well. I just feel like there's a bigger upside with Taylor. He has a good matchup this week. And Jonnu Smith, going up against the Niners, they had a really good defensive game last year. They didn't give up a touchdown last week, the Niners. They only gave up 12 points, 4 field goals, no touchdowns. And they're actually very good defending the tight end. But
he's got McBride. He's got McBride, which is
against Carolina. So you've got to go with Bride.
I don't know if you can fit Jonnu Smith anywhere else, but I don't think that he's a must-start. I think Jonathan Taylor's a guy you absolutely have to have in there. They need to win the game. They're going to rely on him heavily. So
yeah, you're 100% right, Cutso Hockey. I would go with McBride against Carolina 100%. And as much as I love Jonnu Smith, what a shame that you can't play him. But yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor's your guy.
His running backs are Bijan Robinson, great against the Giants this week, and then Chase Brown against Cleveland. All right, you should do all right, man. Very nice.
Very stacked team. Nice job. I like his team. Drafting.
I like his team. Well done. All right, let's get this Jaguar Raider game out the way right now. Jacksonville's been scoring some points. I'm pretty impressed with that. Don't know how they're scoring points at Mac Jones, but they are, and the Raiders are just struggling to do so. So I'm going to keep it simple and take Jacksonville.
I'm going to take Jacksonville because I need to support Jacksonville this week. First of all, I love Mac Jones. I know how crazy that sounds. I have no problem with Mac Jones. You just can't throw a child into a situation like he was thrown into, in my opinion. He could be a very good quarterback still in the NFL, Mac Jones. He had a very good game last week. And here's who I do like on Jacksonville, Brenton Strange.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
New tight end. The guy got like 13 targets last week. Of course, that's not likely to happen again. But Brenton Strange is out there, a little dink and dunk. You got BTJ. I know the weather's supposed to be a little funky over there, but yeah, Jacksonville for sure.
Yeah, they're playing better football right now. So yeah, they'll get to their big 4 wins. And Custo, no doubt, you are more than welcome. Happy holidays to you and yours, my friend. No question. Love it. Yeah. All right, yeah, keep those questions coming if you like. And even next week, we're going to have more in the final round. Hopefully, Kenny and I are still in it. All right, now our team, the 49ers, are coming down here to Miami to play the Dolphins. They're both 6-8, both playoff aspirations are just gone with the freaking win. That's it. It's over. Look, I'm tired of picking the Niners just because they're the fucking 49ers and I love them. I think Miami's going to win this game. I think that they'll be able to score points. I think that Brock Purdy is struggling right now. All right, I'm sorry. It's not working out. Isaac Guerendo, as much as he can do, I think that A-Chain can do as much to us. So
Guerendo's out, I think. I think Guerendo's out anyway.
See, we're right up there with the Lions and a lot of these other teams that just have injuries all over the place. No Trent Williams, no Ayuk, no McCaffrey.
Oh, man. What a sad year.
It's been a horrible year. Going to have to hit the reset button, unfortunately. What we're going to do with Brock Purdy, pay him, not pay him. We're going to spend some time on that, Kenny, in another show. There's no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to break this down. But I think Miami's going to end up winning this game. I hate to say it, but because they're at home is probably the biggest reason. I'm just going to go with Miami.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Yesterday, I would have picked the Niners, but when I found out Guerendo got the hamstring thing and the foot thing, and he's out. And I don't know that Patrick Taylor Jr. is going to fill in there the way that Mason or Garendo could. I just don't see that happening. Yeah. Miami can score a ton. They are motivated to continue to win. They're home. As good as our defense was last week, I still think that the Dolphins are going to put up numbers. And I tell you, he's going to put up probably some numbers. Is probably I feel like Jalen Waddle, if he plays, might be the sneaky guy out there who might get the scores.
The Niners
are going to clamp down on the Stars. Waddle might slip through. Achane might slip through on a little pass, little 3-yard pass, and then takes it for 40 yards, things like that. I don't think
that's why I hear like what Custo Hockey, debating Jonnu Smith, because if Jalen Waddle doesn't play, then Smith's targets are going to go up.
That's right. And I think Jalen Waddle is set to play in this game, though. I also think they're going to run the ball a ton against the Niners because the Niners have had very little success stopping the run in the last couple of years. And Achane, the thing about Achane is that he doesn't even run the ball that much. He gets like a 2-3 yard pass right outside, right over the line or right behind the line, and then you got problems.
Yes,
because he's got moves like
he's got moves. He's got moves. Boy can play, no doubt about it.
So yesterday I picked the Niners, but now knowing Garendo is 100% out, that for me is a huge deal because that's a big boy.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this a lot, and I ultimately went with Miami in the trenches, really, between their offensive and defensive line. I think they will be able to push us around a little bit.
And their defense has been better at stopping the run, and the defense has just been a little better than it was, and I think it just might be enough.
Unfortunately, going to 6-9 doesn't look fun. All right, we got two games left.
But we're going to get a pick now between top 10 to top 15 possibly if we lose 2 more games.
I mean, that's great. I hope we get a great player. I mean, we need to go offensive line. No
tanking on purpose, but I mean, we got to play we got to play the young kids now. See what we got. Get our draft pick, and then we're gonna have to get something in the trenches with our first pick. D line or O line, but
O line. Yeah. Don't even think about it. There's nothing to think about. It's offensive line. It is a nightmare. We need to revamp our offensive line.
You know this as a Niner fan. Even if we pick the best center in the draft, the kid ain't even going to play.
Listen, if Kyle Shanahan is our coach, we're going to run the ball. We need to have offensive line. There's nothing left to think about. They need to draft 4 offensive linemen in this upcoming draft, and I don't want to hear anything else about it.
That's what Pittsburgh did. They took 3 linemen and a wide receiver with their first 4 picks.
And look where they are. They're 10-4. Hi, how you doing? There you go.
Yep.
Smart organization. Bucks, Cowboys.
Turned out to be pretty good. Zach Frazier turned out to be pretty good.
All right. Bucks are 8-6 at the Cowboys 6-8. We talked a little bit about this game already and the things that we think are going to happen, where it could be a high-scoring game. And God, I really hope it is, and I hope that Baker Mayfield is throwing touchdowns all over the place. For your sake in our Freaky Fantasy Football Draft, and for my sake in my regular Fantasy Football League semifinals, need to get to the finals, obviously. I do need Baker to have a big game because I am toying with that idea of starting Anthony Richardson, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
I think you know why you're not going to do it. It's probably the same reason I'm going to do it. The boy is unpredictable, and
he's too unpredictable.
Also has a motivation problem, which is why I like the Taylor. You know what I mean?
Let Taylor go. So, Bucks and Cowboys. I know we both think it's going to be a pretty decent game. Who do you think is going to come out on top?
I think Bucks win this by like almost 20 points, but I think that
it's because really?
Only because I think that right at the end there, they're going to get like a field goal in garbage time because they're just moving the ball so well, and possibly a late touchdown, like a 60-yard touchdown from like Sterling Shepard or Sean Tucker, the 3rd string running back in garbage time breaks one off because like the Cowboys, man.
It can happen, and they are the Cowboys. It's amazing they won 6 games this year. I don't think either one of us had them I know I didn't have them in the playoffs this year. Did you?
No. Remember, because we talked about either every year in the East, we talked about how
it always changes.
Dallas or Philly, it goes back and forth. It's never the same 2 years in a row. That's exactly what happened again.
There you go. I'm also on Tampa Bay, especially with my heart in this one, but I do think it'll be a close game. I like Tampa 27-20. I think Dallas will stick around, but ultimately I think the running game is what will do it for Tampa Bay, even though I'm really hoping it's the passing game. We'll see. at Sunday
Well,
night.
don't worry, because listen, I think like you can count on Baker having 250 yards passing, 2 touchdowns at least in this game. That sounds very doable for Baker.
Hey, if he can rush for 40 yards on top of it, even better. Just
well, there's a very easy bet this week. I know that on Underdog where he only get 0.5 rushing yards for Baker. But I always try and remind people, don't forget. Yeah, that's one of the bets they got going. But I always try to remember 0.5 rushing yards.
I would throw $1,000 on that right now.
Well, here's what I understand, and that's what they want you to do. But here's what I always tell people: don't forget, Baker gets sacked for 16 yards, 8 yards.
That doesn't count against rushing yards.
That's what I needed to know. There you go.
Doesn't count against rushing yards.
As long as that doesn't happen, you should be fine. I think last week it was Burrows. Last week it was Burrows, 0.5 yards rushing.
Did he get it?
I didn't do that, so I didn't check on it. But it's pretty likely that he did, right?
Yeah, it's very limited in Florida what we can use. We can use Hard Rock Bet, which is what I use the major one.
Yeah, you told me that, yeah.
We have Bet MGM, and there's a couple other little ones.
MGM,
I think
through the actual Vegas casinos.
Right. And it's unfortunate on Hard Rock, not that I want to talk about this much, but they used to have a lot more different prop type bets. Like in basketball.
Yeah, more fun bets. Like
in basketball, they would have points, assists, and rebounds together. Now they don't have that anymore. They took it away. Now it's all individual. Stafford had 0.5 rushing yards. I can see him not getting it. I wouldn't bet on him to get it.
Actually, that's right. I think I heard somebody saying that in a chat or somewhere where they're like, they needed 1 yard and they got the 0.5.
0.5. That is so sick.
They didn't get the bet.
That's funny, man.
But that's good to know, and it's good that people hear it here, is that if your quarterback gets sacked for 8 yards, that doesn't count towards his rushing yards. That's right. Huge. That's count.
Yep. That's a great point. Not everybody knows that. So that's a great point. There's so many crazy rules in football, like what happened last night in the Charger Bronco game. I knew about the whole free kick and everything. I didn't know it went down like that. So I was like, okay, I learned something else. I keep learning stuff in football.
You gotta, every day's a school day, man. If you're not learning something every day, then you're not doing it wrong.
Then you ain't watching, man. I'm telling you, it's always something. All right, let's see what we can learn from the New Orleans Saints, who are 5-9, going against the Green Bay Packers, who are hot right now. Man, Jordan Love's got it going on. They're playing better. You know that I kind of called them a little fugazi this year, but they're playing it better now. But really, that offense revolves around Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's going to have probably like 149 yards rushing in this game and 2 touchdowns. One catching, one receiving, 1 rushing.
Yep, just give him the damn ball, that guy. Packers are 10-4. Again, they're not going to win the division, so they will not have a bye. They will not have home field advantage. If they want to get to the Super Bowl, they're going to have to go on the road the entire way and do it. And you know what? They can. They're the kind of team that can go on the road, because when you can run the ball with Josh Jacobs and play pretty damn decent defense. Look, they mauled Seattle last week. On what was it, Sunday night? I don't even remember whatever time they played.
It's the haze now.
They embarrassed them. They embarrassed Seattle. Embarrassed them. What was it even? It was 30-13 or something like that. So the Packers right now got it going on.
Packers are way better than Seattle.
Absolutely, and they're way better than the Saints. That's why I'm going with
above Seattle in my power rankings. Even though most people aren't going to have Seattle in their top 10 power rankings, I at least had Green Bay over them.
There you go.
But also, they were a much better team a few weeks ago too. That was the thing. And now Seattle, I feel like, is not having the same kind of success.
No, you don't look at them and you feel like, wow, this is a team that's going to make noise in the playoffs.
Not all the way to the end, no.
But Green Bay can, man. Look, they beat Dallas last year on the road, and they took us on the freaking ropes, the 49ers, in that game. That was not fun to watch, all right? That was biting my freaking fingernails, cringeworthy the entire game. So you know what? Those young players and Josh Jacobs and Jordan Love not turning over the ball, dangerous team. And
they got like 4 or 5 different wide receivers that can blow up at any moment. You just don't know who it's going to be. And they really don't know who
it's going to be. And the funny thing is, I thought that Jaden Reed was going to be their best wide receiver, and he's not even getting the ball that much lately.
He's not getting the ball that much, but I still think he's their best wide receiver.
If you watch his
highlights, they're really good.
It's been more like Tucker Kraft, and even Christian Watson is getting the ball more lately. But
Romeo Doubs had
Romeo Doubs. He had a good game last week. Absolutely, no doubt about it.
It's a little roulette wheel. You never know who you're going to get.
No, and that's the great thing. It's like you can't just study, film study for one of these guys. You got to be ready. And you know what? What we really should be doing right now is giving a lot of credit to Coach Matt LaFleur. He has been doing a phenomenal job with young. They have the youngest team in the league, and they are 10-4, about to go 11-4, going to the playoffs for the second year. Make noise. LaFleur did it with Rodgers, and I was doing it with Jordan Love. He is a very underrated head coach.
13-3. 13-3.
Yes.
Like, remember that shit? This guy's record is unbelievable.
And they may win 13 games again this year. They got 3 left. They're 10-4. They could do it again. Really,
very
impressive.
likely that they will. LaFleur is fantastic in the regular season.
And
And so there's always that. I mean, here's the thing. I don't think that Jordan's been racking up the interceptions like he was a few games ago. And so I think that's a big deal too. If he's not throwing interceptions, you got yourself a little magic there. It could work, a little lightning in a bottle.
Right. Absolutely. So they are dangerous. There's no
Look what it did for Josh Allen.
Whew, man, boy, did he turn into something else, Josh Allen. What a pleasure it is.
It's about time. So I feel like that when we talk about the MVP thing, I feel like for Josh Allen, it's just like this, like it's finally the time to give him MVP. I don't feel like he completely 100% deserves to be the hands down MVP, but this is a good year to give it to him.
No, but I'm with you. Look, Lamar Jackson has put up just as good stats for the most part, but I do feel like Josh Allen has less on offense to work with. He doesn't have as dynamic of players, and he seems to be like, it really is more on Josh Allen than it is on Lamar Jackson. I mean, he can turn around, give it to Derrick. Not that James Cook is some slouch or anything like that, but
he's not King
Henry. Right. So, but yeah, this to me, it's still a race right now, and if Lamar Jackson has a big showing against Pittsburgh in a standalone Saturday game, that'll get people's eyeballs looking a little bit more.
I feel like he will. I don't want to disrespect Pittsburgh, and another team I can't believe has the record they have. I honestly can't.
Me either. I thought they would be a 9-8 team this year. But
the Ravens are a better team, up and down.
And I think that they'll show it. But we both like Baltimore in this game, right? I think we both picked them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep. All right. So that is Saturday afternoon. And Kansas City and Houston, they play the first game this Saturday. Kansas City, unfair. They got to play this game, then they got to turn around Wednesday and play again. My God, against the Steelers. And same thing with Pittsburgh. It's not like they got to do the same thing. They got to play Saturday and then Wednesday again.
They both played they have time though. They have because of when they played last time. They have the rest though, so they'll be okay. It's just going to be an interesting game.
Yeah,
that's damn sure.
It really is. Good week of football coming up. Great times. Love it. It is time to roll because my dog is barking his head off. That means he needs to be walked. So I'm going to go walk that little bastard right now.
Yeah.
But Kenny, great time, man. And thank you guys out there. Custo Hockey, love that you jumped in with that one. Steve, what's up?
We love that. We're going to want some more fantasy questions next year.
Yeah, man.
Focus a lot more on fantasy, too.
Keep it going. Hit us up. We're here, Power 32 Podcast. I know it's a Friday night. It's a special night. We'll be back again next Thursday, day after Christmas, ready to roll, talk about the games that were on Christmas and then some. Kenny, Power 32, we're out for now, but we're back next week.
Peace.
See you, everybody. Have a good one. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. Whatever you celebrate, enjoy, be safe with your family.
Happy Hanukkah.
There you go.